Well, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling, and this is the Raging Verbalist number 71. And this is one of those topics that I have really feel an emotional angst about it. But before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping things. Number one is definitely go to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, go to the Facebook page, Position to Win book, and check out this is a live feed every week, and you'll never miss an episode of the Raging Verbalist. Now, with me as always, the ever lovely, effervescent Sandra. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. I am just so excited about this topic. Now, for those of you who do not know, who have never been here, who want to know what happens on the Raging Verbalist, well, a topic gets selected. We put it through a carefully crafted filtration process, and then meticulously we craft these questions. Many of them, some of them, one of them, hopefully something comes from a viewer like you, but if not, we come up with our own and we talk about a specific topic. And today we're going to be talking about what we affectionately call cables, connectors, and chaos. So you can figure out what that is. All right, Sandra, what is the first question for today's episode?
All right, how many cables do you need to take on an average trip?
Well, now Sandra has actually done in a multi-day event, and we had boxes of cables and connectors and things. Was that right, Sandra? How many bankers boxes of this stuff did we take?
Probably like a minimum of six.
Yeah.
Maybe six. Yeah.
So on any trip, I end up taking a lot. And if you're out there and you have a cell phone, I assume those you out there have a cell phone. So if you have a cell phone, depending upon your which religion you belong to, you have actually a cable to charge that. So I just showed you an Apple iPhone, and that means that if you have an Apple iPhone, what you need is you need one of these, which is a lightning cable. That's a thunder with lightning. And this, of course, is because Apple owns the lightning standard, and that way they get to charge royalties and all that. Plus, it's this cool multi-directional cable, so you can't screw it up and all that. So I have to always have one of these guys, no matter what. However, I have worked hard to outsmart the cable nonsense. So what do I have? And yes, I'm pulling things out as I'm speaking. This is live. This is it. And this is an amazing cable. And it has 4 connectors coming out of it. And it has 2 lightning, so you can charge a couple things. And one of the things you may want to charge is your AirPods. See? So right. Oh, yeah. And these little guys, these little AirPods, they tell me they give you 3.5 hours worth of charge. Not if Dr. Speed Selling has anything to do with it, because I talk so much. In a couple hours, these things are crying for mercy, which, of course, when you go online, they say, well, 3.5 hours is consumed over the course of the day, and you're not going to talk for 3.5 hours straight. Hello. That's why I'm the Raging Verbalist. So you have that. So anyway, and then, but wait, this is better. And then you get a mini, and we'll talk about this in a little second. And then it has a USB-C, which is the new one. So I carry, that is my next cable I have to carry. And then, wait, since I now have a Fitbit, right? Because we want to be fit, right? So now you got to get this little doohickey. This is lovely, because they say, well, you get to charge it with USB. So when I bought it, I said that was very cool, but watch what happens. Like magic, you got this little doohickey. Hopefully we can see that well. And it's got this little spring-loaded thing, and oh, is that so cute. However, guess what I guess I have to put it in front of me because the little screen does kooky things. And if you don't have this thing doesn't work. And they say, well, but it's great because it'll hold the charge for a week. Maybe. Ta-da, got to have one of those. So that's really 4 plus 2, that's 6. We're up to 6 cables. But wait, because I have back spasms and stuff, I carry a device to help me out with that. And they said, well, but the neat part about it is you get to charge it with USB, which I thought, well, that'd be great. I get this little thing. I plug it into an adapter. I am home free. I'm Fat City. I'm great, right? No, what you do is you actually have to use their barrel connector. Yeah, look at that. There's another one. What is that? That's up to, is that 7? Are we at 7? Keep counting, keep counting. And then,
But
and
wait, there's more.
well, wait, there's more. And then if I have an external little hard drive, the cool part about it is they say, well, but it plugs into USB, USB on this side. But then it plugs into this little cool little connector, which we will go through our connectors because there will be a test later. Life is filled with tests. So I have to have that connector. Wait, there's more cables. Hang on. Yeah. And then I take an HDMI cable wherever I go. Doesn't everybody have an HDMI cable? Well, I found out these little thin ones, these little thin ones. See, that's the little skinniest one you've ever seen. This is, like they went through a little weight loss thing. And these are really cool, but you got to make sure you plug them in right because one side says TV, and the other side says source. So you got these little guys so you can actually plug in to your thing. That's another cable. Wait, we got another cable. So because I'm always doing audio stuff, see, like what we're doing right now, audio stuff, is that, and I can't show this. Well, maybe I can. Oh, yeah. See, I need to make sure, and remember, because this is cables and connectors. So I always carry an extra spare one of these things. That's this little microphone that plugs in. So I actually have an extra one. Because remember the rule, one is none. One is none. Say it again. Say it with me. Say it proudly. Also, I have a little adapter. This little adapter, doohickey, lets me plug in this headset in. And the best part, I've dropped that connector. Uh-oh, look out. Which, by the way, that's like my fear is that I'll drop a connector and Anyway, so there you go. And then I always have audio connectors. Now, this will get you excited because I have an audio connector. See, this little audio connector and this audio connector. One has 3 little black stripes. One has 2 of them. TRRS, TRS. Don't forget it. There is a test later. Oh, wait, how far are we up to now? Oh, I don't know. I'm starting to lose count. But I have even more because I actually need, and I don't have it here. I actually need a USB mini connector because, of course, I have another device. Whew. So I would say that I probably need somewhere between 8 and 15 cables, and I have bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of connectors and cables. And then to make it even more fun is that if you don't have one of these little doohickeys to plug into Zaval, you know what all those cables are? Worthless. They're worthless because they don't work without electricity or juice. Any more that I can think of, I'll come back to it later. So that's your answer, Sandra. That's the connectors that I take on any trip. But if I'm going to do an event, then we have all the microphone connectors, we have all the mixer connectors, we have all the connectors, and all the various cables and gender changers. Now, for all of you who are really, into that whole, what is going on, there's a lot of gender changing that goes on with cabling. And all I can say is, it can make some people blush. Okay, so what is your next question now that we have gone through this massive amount of cables? Oh, and here's the best part is that when you go through airport security, like when I went to Mexico and I was essentially carrying an audio studio with me, is they took out every single cable and they examined it and they put it through the scanner one cable at a time. Oh, is that fun? All right, what's the next question?
I thought USB was universal. So is that true? And how many different connectors are there?
So years ago, we had all of these, what are called, if you own a PC, I'm talking about a desk, a tower, is that it had what were called the legacy connectors. And the legacy connectors were a bunch of weird looking connectors. Like, there was a purple one, a green one. One was for the keyboard, one was for the mouse. And then it had a parallel port, which nobody even knows what that is. And, that's not like parallel parking, because I know that scares people too. But it had, a parallel port, and it had a serial port, and it had all of that. So what they did was they said, we got this great idea. We're going to come up with USB, which is universal serial bus. Ooh, universal sounds good. So they came up with this, and let us recount how many cables there are. So there is a type A connector. I will show you what a type A connector looks like. That way you will not be confused. Again, this is educational and a rant, and it helps me get my brain on straight. So this is the A connector is the little flat funky connector, which everybody tries to plug in the wrong way because they didn't learn. Because see, the guy, the team, I'm going to be, see that? I'm not even going to be gender biased. I'm going to say the team came up with this. And whenever you see the logo, the logo goes up. So if you can see the logo, it should plug into your laptop. It should plug into your connector. See, so if I have this oriented the right way, see logo, look at that live. Look at that. Oh my goodness. And we can do like slow motion and put in sound effects. So there's that. That is the type A, but there's type A USB 2, then there's type A USB 3. And the USB 3 has a blue inside because that means it will go faster. Because we started out with USB 1, which was doggy low slow. You don't want that. And a lot of computers have more 2s than 3s. And that's just because, of course, it is cheaper to do them. So you have USB type A, 2 and 3. So we have 2. Keep track of these, Sandra. Keep track of them. I mean, you may have to take off your shoes to count. I mean, we got to have a lot of digits to count this high. Well, what happened is that USB 2 spawned this thing. Oh, actually, USB 2 has the B connector. Now, the B connector, you will know because it is this like weird square thing that plugs into the back of certain things. So I don't want to blow anybody's mind. So, I mean, if you have any hot liquids, sharp objects, or shoelaces, stop right now. But if not, I'm going to show you this. Now, this is not the world's weirdest harmonica, but this is a port replicator. I mean, it's almost like a science fiction. And this little guy, actually, this little guy right here is a USB 2 type B, which actually comes from here into said computer and promulgates. Big word. The word of the day is promulgate. Eat your heart at Sesame Street. I mean, how many times have you said promulgate? Come on. Big Bird doesn't even know what, if you say, look at you promulgated, he's like, ooh, I didn't do that. That's some other bird did that. Anyway, so this little guy has a USB 2 type B, which is also found on the back of printers. So I showed you the disk one. That's actually a USB 3 micro B 2 or micro B 10 pin. So that's for all of you bowlers. It's a 10 pin. And there also is the thing that plugs into my other Bluetooth headset. And yes, I own 2 Bluetooth headsets because I burned them out so quickly. And that little gem is a USB 2 micro B 5 pin. Okay, you sticking with me? And there's actually a USB 2 mini B 5 pin, which I don't have, but I need also one of those. And then, of course, we talked about Apple Lightning Bolt. But of course, the newest, the most exciting, the thing that everybody is just going gaga crazy about because it is the hottest thing, slice going, is this guy right here. That's the USB-C port. Now, here's how they really have screwed you up too. So if you have a laptop and you have or a desktop and it has a USB-C, or if you have an Android phone that has a USB-C, that means it's a newer Android phone, by the way. You can't plug this in the wrong way because see all of these other connectors that are like single direction, which means you supposedly can never plug them in the wrong way. Trust me, people are crazy and they plug them in the wrong way. So, but this little gem, you can plug it in either way and it supposedly works. Doesn't matter. Now, to make things even better, since we now know this is a USB C, right? USB C, actually a USB 3.0 type C. Let's make sure we get it right. Is that it also is a Thunderbolt. Now, Thunderbolt isn't the horse that Sandra wanted as a little girl. She wanted to get Thunderbolt. Now, Thunderbolt is a high speed, above and beyond, which some people say isn't that USB 3, but Thunderbolt is more. And there's two different kinds of Thunderbolts, and don't even get me started. So those are your all of those. And when we count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different USBs. Yeah, it is universal, but it is, as we say, chaos. Okay. What is the next question?
All right. How do you know that you're in hell when you're on the road?
Well, I think how you know you're in hell is that when you're sitting there and you have done the best job you could to pack, and you're there. This happened to me, is that I left my charger for my laptop. By the way, almost no laptops are designed to just use USB. There's a couple of them, but most of them use their own adapter. So I raced out the door, tossed everything in the car, drove away, and I got to my destination just to find out that I did not have my laptop adapter. So I had every other cable that we have shown, all of those cables, and maybe even more, but I couldn't charge my laptop. Which, of course, as soon as I got there and I looked at my laptop, we were down to 28%. So I had to go buy an adapter. So here's how you know that you're in hell: is that you keep losing or keep not having the right adapter at the right time. That's why I went to the foreign ones, because I then have reduced the amount. It just moved me to purgatory and not hell. But it doesn't mean that you've got it all figured out, because inevitably, you will find that you're missing a connector, a cable, or something. I have so many different of these. And so I've gotten to the point where I actually build kits of cables so we can find them. But of course, what will happen is that eventually we will need to go get a cable. So we'll swipe it from here and swipe it from there and drive ourselves crazy. On top of which, I can't tell you how many adapters I have purchased over the years. And that's how you know you're in hell, is that you're always buying another one of these, knowing full well that somewhere in your office, in your house, you have a bunch of these. My favorite, of course, is to go to somebody who doesn't live this kind of, digital life, and they have one single USB adapter. And I look at them and go, are you insane? You got to be crazy. By the way, all throughout my house, and Sandra, I think, can attest to this, all through my house, I have USB adapters all over the place. I mean, you name it. If there's a room, I've got adapters, because I go burning through this stuff, and you just got to make sure you got it. So that's how you know you're in hell. Now, if you want to avoid that fate, if you want to avoid that situation, here I have an answer for you. In fact, I have the best answer for you. And that is, if you have not gotten this yet, you are in luck, because, after hearing this process of going through all these things, I'm going to tell you right now, go out there and check this out. Go out and check out Remote Work for a Better World. In Remote Work for a Better World, we talk about what it's like to be out there in a remote way. And do not ever believe that you're going to be able to find that cable, whatever that weird cable might be, when you're on the road. Worst situation I ever saw in this regard is as I was the MC of at an event, and the keynote speaker had flown in from Spain, and he did not have two cables that he needed. And luckily, we had a logistics person who actually went out and found the two cables. Yikes. And we got those figured out. The other thing is that you can always go out and get the book. Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Go check it out, Position to Win, and that will quell some of this. Now, neither of these actually help you as far as if you don't have the right cable or the right connector. But maybe what it means is that, if you're sitting there and you're stuck, you can always read the book and do something productive instead of just being out of your mind crazy for this stuff. So go check that out. Go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. Go get an autographed copy. Say, John, connect me, hook me up, get me going. All right, Sandra, what is our next question?
Is it just phones, tablets, and what are some of the other adapters and connectors that are out there?
Well, that's a good question because every laptop has its own connector. I just got a new laptop this last year, and it's got its own unique connector. Seemingly everything that you can buy and use and travel with has its own set of connectors. If you get into audio, you get into video, you get into all of those things. I mean, and by the way, I use a cable, by the way, and I would suggest if you ever get insane enough to think that you're going to record something wirelessly, just be ready for the problems that ensue. Another event, I was the MC, but also because of having the equipment, I brought in an audio person, and I will leave the famous person's name, semi-famous, famous in his own mind. Anyway, I'll leave out the person whose event it was. And he was pissed off beyond belief because he said, hey, the audio keeps cutting in and out. Audio keeps cutting in and out. And I said, well, it's because the people that are on stage don't know how to hold onto a microphone because they had handheld wireless microphones. And I said, they need to have said microphone in front of the speaking hole. By the way, for those of you who don't figure out, that's your mouth. It's where the sound comes out of. If it comes out of anything other than your mouth, nobody wants to hear it. Trust me. I'm just saying that out loud. All right. And it was crazy. And I have been to so many places where people were missing cables and missing connectors. He was so pissed off that he said, I'm going to go to the hotel and replace your audio because this is, his words, bullshit. Now, by the way, I never had a faltering audio for my channel. Why? I know how to use a microphone. Number two, I know how to be mic'd up. I'll give you a couple quick hints, even though that's not exactly what we're talking about. If you put a microphone on a piece of cloth, that would be a shirt, a blouse, a tank top, a wife beater, whatever you call it, I don't know. And you move back and forth, and the microphone drags across this thing called skin. It's going to make this rumbling sound. Now, bugs hear that sound and go, what's that? Sounds like something. But we can't hear it until we put a microphone on it, and we then hear it. So I'm going to tell you, make sure that you always test where you're going to mic yourself up. And if you think that this is something that you can get away with and professionals have it all knocked, I was at a television production. We were in Mexico. I'm actually in there as an extra. And what did they have to do after they had gotten this all done with a totally professional crew? Is they had to loop it. And for those of you who don't know what looping it is, that isn't where you get inside of a steel cage on a motorcycle and go up and down and all that stuff. It's called you bring people back and they lip sync, or they synchronize to their lips as they're saying the lines again because they didn't get it. So I can tell you that it is all kinds of crazy connectors, but here is my favorite one. And that is, once companies started figuring out that USB, remember we were talking about USB? Where is it? Let me show it. Oh, this type A. It's not type A. Yeah, this is type A. Got to remember this. Type A is that this would be cool that we'd build them into outlets and people could plug them in. Southwest was an advanced company, and they said, yeah, let's put them in there. Let's put them at every gate. We'll put USB connectors and we can plug them in and everything will work out great. Except here's what they missed, is that the average regular plug, this would be a wall outlet for some of you, some would call them holes with the juice. Those only have so many insertions and they eventually die because there's little springs in there if you didn't know how those things work. That's why if you ever have one that you plug in and the plug falls out, you plug it in, the plug falls out, you plug it in, plug falls out. 2 two ways to solve this problem. Number one, well, three ways. Number one is you can go outside and raise your staff to the sky and shout to the gods, no. Now, maybe cathartic, but it doesn't fix the outlet. Number two is that you can replace the outlet, highly unlikely if it's not your outlet. And number three is I always travel with the little gaffer's tape, and that way you can tape your plug to the outlet. Anyway, I'm sitting in a Southwest boarding area and watching people walk up minute by minute, because whenever they see an open USB, they run over, woo, and plug it in. And it was fun to watch. And there was a woman, I would say 25 years old, who said a very profane thing that I won't even say. I mean, I will say it, but it's like, no, I won't say it here. But she basically told everybody that that thing was blown out. And of course, she didn't have gaffer's tape, but she had packing, the white clear plastic tape, and she taped her plug into the wall. Now, I, being a generous person, always carry a plug that has multiple USBs on it. So that way I share my outlet with my boarding mates. Now, I don't know if that gets me sainthood or not, but tell you, sometimes a USB port in the storm is really good. But that's my favorite, is to watch people plug it in and watch it's so funny to watch this stuff fall out. And especially people who've never figured out. The first time it happened to me, I didn't have any tape, but my wife had put some Band-Aids, and I Band-Aided it in there. So, I mean, and I think that's a pretty good idea, Yeah. So
anything that works.
anything that works, any Band-Aid that works in a storm. So, yeah. Okay. So what is our next question? What do we have on that one?
So what about electric vehicles?
Well, this is where I find it funny. Now, for those of you who don't remember the format wars I don't want to shock any young sensitive ears, but there used to be VHS and Betamax video cassettes. I know there's probably some fear and rumbling out there right now. But what has happened is that the smarties who build electric cars, now you would think that they would get together and figure out how to have a connector, right? You would think so. Sandra, would you agree? You would think, hey, they're going to come up with a standard, so that way we can all have our little plugs that go into the electric vehicles. Doesn't that make sense?
You'd think.
Yes, you would. And you know what? You would be wrong, because there's actually 6, count them, 4, 5, 6 different adapters around the world. Number one is there's a type 1 plug, which you would think, well, that sounds good. And that is used in Asia. And not to be outdone, and none of these, by the way, are compatible with each other. I mean, that's even the better part. And then there's the type 2 plug, which is done in Europe, and that's the standard in Europe. And then there's the GBT plug, which is similar to the type 2 plug, but with additional male connectors. It's always the men, isn't it? They've got to get in there somehow. And then we get to the combo plugs, the combination plugs, which is an enhanced version of type 2 with additional power connectors for quick charging. Any of you who are buying an electric vehicle saying, this thing is going to be, future proofed. Well, I got boxes of cables of shit that I don't even know where they came from, and I don't know who the hell we're going to plug into. And someday, some alien life form is gonna get here, and they're going to be a bunch of pissed off cross universe, and they're going to uncover my box of cables because I actually have boxes of cables that I've listed as God only knows who is in there. And they're guys going to walk up and say, hey, look, there's a cable. These people are friendly. Anyway, I'm just saying, if you think that you've gotten any kind of future proof on this electric vehicle thing, no, because see, we're doing this all as we go along. So there's this combination plug. The combination plug is an enhanced version of the Type 2 with additional power connectors for quick charging. Wow. Which, by the way, their idea of quick is like Wi-Fi. See, if you have fast Wi-Fi or slow Wi-Fi, it's all, and people always go, oh, I've got fast Wi-Fi. And they don't tell you a number. There's no number in the word fast. And then, wait a second, the Japanese have a quick charging system called Chatamo. Now, I mean, that sounds pretty cool. You know, Mo is chatting. That's how but apparently it means something else. And then, not to be outdone, is that you modify a version of the Type 2, and Tesla has their own, and it's called the Minkeys. I can't even make this up. I mean, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it looks like monkeys with an E, but it's the Minkeys plug. Now, imagine somebody with a French accent saying, I need my Minkeys plug. Yeah, it's a bad, I mean, it's even close to French accent. But anyway, so there you go. 6 different adapters around the globe for your electric vehicle. Now, that just makes me want to go crazy. Oh, and by the way, now Tesla doesn't want to make it easy for you to plug into his network because he wants you to buy his car. And these other guys, you know, it isn't easy for a Tesla to plug into that. And my favorite is watching YouTube videos where the guy has basically the trunk of an elephant. Quick disclaimer, it's not really an elephant, okay? We know they're endangered, okay? Don't go putting that. But it looks like this weird trunk of an elephant that you got to plug into the Tesla for, and this is like hundreds of dollars, the Tesla thing to plug into this, to plug into that. Crazy. Did I say chaos? Okay. All right. What is our next question? We're going to get done with this soon, people. Now, we'll do follow-up if you want to say that, because I have not touched all of the various connectors, all of the crazy that's out there. I haven't even gotten close to this, but this is just, we thought we'd get into this, and you know, I go for it. What's our next question?
What about wireless charging of everything? Is that another adapter?
So I bought the first generation of an Apple Watch, and it is around here somewhere. Where is my? Here it is. Here it is. That's the best place to have that watch, is in a drawer. So this bad boy that has not been on, and it has these little round things, which, by the way, they're up to like, I don't know, generation 4, 5, 6, I don't know, whatever it is. And they say, well, here it is. And I get this thing, and it doesn't have much of a charge. And people say, because see, this is like my belief that, you know, you buy technology early because, you know, I like to buy technology, but you don't expect it's going to work. Didn't work, even though people have told me it will work. And guess what I got? I got the little adapter. Look at this bad boy. This is a great paperweight. This is a little disc. You know, if you got a little sharpened edge, you could, you know, slice somebody down or something. This little thing stands up. Look at that. You got a little hole so you can play doctor. You know, got all that stuff. Another one, an adapter. This silly thing weighs a bunch, so I had to go buy the other extra little portable one. Are you kidding me? And no, I have no intention of trying to. I mean, maybe someday I'll get another one because they say it keeps getting better. But let's talk about wireless adapters. So I got really excited. And in fact, I have 2 lamps that will do wireless charging. But you know what they won't do wireless charging through? And I know Sandra will be able to guess this, but I'm not going to leave anybody in suspense. And that is, who doesn't have a phone and then puts a cover on the phone? And when you do that, you know what happens? The wireless charging doesn't work. So they say, well, pop the cover off. Oh, that's convenient. The reason why I put the cover on is so I didn't break the damn phone. So I now have not 1, not 2, 3 phones, which is almost biblical, right? I mean, we're coming up on Easter. 3 phones that have wireless adapters or wireless charging capability, but I can't charge them because I have a cover on the phone. And then I see this insanity that we're going to electrify the road. So as you're driving your electric car, these big coils are going to have this electricity that's going to go up in your car and do that. Count me as skeptical. Now, Sandra, you have a nice Samsung phone. Do you have a wireless charger?
Not for this one, but I did for the last one that I had.
And were you happily satisfied with its charging?
No. No. And again, if the case is too thick, then it won't charge. So it's like it's off somewhere. We gave one to a friend whose actual charger broke. So one of them's at least useful. So there's one in a drawer somewhere. Looks kind
Yeah,
of like the charger you had.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the other thing is that before I got the cool case I've got, I had a case that allowed it to do wireless charging, which I thought was really cool. But the wireless charger, if you didn't get it just on there perfectly and the right orientation, and since it doesn't tell you if it's charging or not, unless you tap the screen or something, and yeah, it didn't charge. So I went back to the wired charger, which is why when I bought my AirPods, again, I'm a person who owns all kinds of technology. See, I bought it with the little wire, the little plug-in, because that way I can plug it in. Because if you don't, you're out of your mind. Now, I gotta tell you that we have had I've had fun thinking about this one because I have gone through so much stuff in my life about it. So if you haven't decided already to buy the book, I got it. I don't know what we're gonna have to do. Maybe we have to come over and see you as soon as our electric car charges and all that. Oh, I'll tell you what I forgot. I left out is I used to have this electric razor. No, it isn't why I have a beard. I used to have an electric razor, and the only way you could to use it because you couldn't replace the batteries is you had to plug it in and charge it, and the charger went out, and it was like some foreign German brand. The charger went out, and I went to the website and it said this isn't available any longer in the US, but you could go to Germany to buy it. And of course in Germany you go on the website and it's all in surprise German. And I found out that they had discontinued the charger. So I have one of those. Now, see, that just like the Egyptians were buried with artifacts, that one's going to go with me because I'm going to go someday I will in an afterlife find those guys and say, "Hey, I brought it with me. Damn it. The razor was good and the charger crapped out. What the hell, man?" And it had a weird little connector that, everybody I brought it to, would always look at it and go, "That's a really weird little connector." No kidding. Put down your own comments and tell us what your weirdest connector and cable and charging situation is. And all I can say is, no, there's no way around it. And no, I'm not some Luddite who thinks that eventually we're going to go back to, living in the mountains and all that stuff. Hell, I carry all these cables around with me. I just find it interesting because, the more that they say they're going to get to something universal and it's all going to be the same, the more likely it is that that is a dream that is not going to happen anytime soon. So, having said that, I want to thank Sandra, who's joined me on this episode of the Raging Verbalist. I want to thank all of you who have listened to me rant and rave and talk about cables, connectors, and the chaos that they bring to our lives. And all I can say is if you're out there right now wondering if your thing is charging and if you have enough power and you have enough juice, is that the answer is probably no. Because, oh, also, here's the other fun part is whenever I'm on an airplane and I'm meeting people, and I meet people sitting on the airplane, and I will be getting on planes again, is it always amazes me how many people are there and they're sitting there wondering when they're going to put outlets inside of airplanes to charge stuff. And I think the answer is never. They used to think about doing that. They tried to do that. They used to have it in first class and business class. I think those days are gone. So that leaves us with only one alternative, which is to carry yet another doohickey and another doohickey and an extra battery and an extra this. And before you know it, well, we're going to need more cables and more connectors and more chaos. And with that, this is John Palmadocia, Dr. Speed Selling. This has been the Raging Verbalist number 71. Until next week, all I can say is happy cabling and charging.